if two refineries, Phillips and Valero, go offline at the end of 25 and at the end of 26, that brings offline 22% of California's refining capacity. And demand doesn't change, which means you're bringing in tankers of refined product from the Asian market or all the way from the Gulf Coast market. And if people are concerned about what's going on in the Middle East right now, I think you should be equally concerned about Taiwan, not only for like the semiconductors and how that would impact our modern way of life. I think that if China takes Taiwan, that would create a tremendous amount of leverage for the Asian markets to de-dollar, which would be destabilizing to the United States dollar. And if California refineries are going offline and you're relying on the Asian market to supply, it could even be worse than the USC Professor Misch has targeted, which was mid $8 for California for a gallon of gas and anywhere between $6 and $7 in Nevada. So one of the things that we had proposed is that you now have a federal government that's working with the Department of Interior, EPA, and Energy, trying to create a regulatory environment where you can build infrastructure quickly. I mean, America needs transmission lines. America needs mining. We also need to be able to process the materials that we mine, not just mine it here, ship it to China, get it produced, and bring it back. So if you have a federal government that's open to clearing up all the red tape, and if Nevada and the surrounding states are looking for additional refining sources, you're not so heavily weighted and dependent on California. I hope that California wakes up one day. I think it's the most beautiful state in our union, best weather. My family goes down there to vacation. I'm a big fan of California as a state. I'm not a fan of California politics. I think it's horrible for the business environment. I can't imagine being a resident of San Francisco and LA, loving your city and seeing what it's turned into. So I hope they turn it around, but if they don't, Nevada's got to wisen up and say, hey, there are other refining sources out there. Holly Frontier built a pipeline from Utah to Nevada. It took them 4 years, $300 million, and they built 2 terminals. So if you don't have a 2008 regulatory environment, you could theoretically get things done a lot quicker. So hopefully these conversations are happening outside of just you and I, sounding our alarm bell, and, they take it seriously, because $6 to $7 for a gallon of gas, I can guarantee you that's a bipartisan issue in the state of Nevada. No matter what side of the aisle you're on, people are going to be unhappy with you if you allow this to happen. So please, if you're an elected representative, start having conversations and try to decouple us from the refining capacity in California, because that's going down.
I don't know if I can say anything else to that. You did so well. But one thing I will just reiterate is on the mining processing side, a lot of people don't realize how long it actually takes from the time that the ore is processed out of the ground. And so, something like what you and I saw, which is in, kind of gold and silver flakes and all of that, to the time it's processed, which many times does have to be shipped out of the country because Nevada doesn't have any of its own processing facilities. It could take 6 to 18 months for that product to actually show back up in the United States and be ready to go wherever it's going for whatever purpose. And that's for anything. That's for lithium, that obviously huge international conversation right now. That's for diatomaceous earth that you use in pool filters, and it's kitty litter and all of these other things. And that's gold and silver and copper as well. And so when you start talking about higher prices of gas and higher prices of thus logistics, you're talking about a higher price for everything across the board.
Yeah, and you may or may not be able to actually mine at a profit when those costs go up. Some of those mines go through a lot of fuel. I mean, that diesel fuel, lubricants, that's what keeps the machinery going so that they can actually mine. And we actually deal with the only rare earth mining company here on the West Coast out of Mountain Pass in California. And yes, everything is mined in the United States, but it is processed overseas. And 18-month turnaround time when there is no geopolitical conflict going on around Taiwan. So that's definitely something that we should watch, considering China said they'll invade Taiwan by 2027. Scary times.
It is scary times. And I just think it's so important that people just really need to understand where our products are coming from, and that it's not as simple as saying that we need to have, renewables. Renewables can definitely be part of the solution, but oil, gas, propane, natural gas, it's not going away. And it truly is the most reliable source that we have. So trying to outlaw oil, trying to outlaw fuel, trying to outlaw combustible engines doesn't make any sense, minimum for the next 100 years. Maybe in, 50 years from now, someone will come up with something that will revolutionize the industry, but this truly is the best and cleanest source of energy that we have. And so whether it's, understanding the way gas prices actually work, or it's even understanding how much a mining company actually makes on an ounce of silver, because those are actually very similar parallels. Mining companies are not just making millions or even billions of dollars over and above their expenses. It's actually very little.